Hello everyone, welcome back to Datalogist channel. Today we'll be learning how to make report in Power BI. First we will need to click on blank reports in Power BI. After clicking on blank report, we'll get a page like this. To make a report, first we will need to import data. There are various options as you can see on the screen. There are few shortcut options displayed. And also click on Home tab. In Home tab we have the Get Data option. After clicking on Get Data, we get a drop down menu in which we have various such more options. For today's video, we'll be using Excel workbook for importing data. Once I click on Excel workbook, I'll get a window to select my file. For today's video, we'll be having call data of a particular company. After clicking on my database, I'll get a navigator page. In Navigator, I can see my Excel workbook's name and the table which are included in that. Also, on the right hand side, I can preview my tables. I'll need to check all these boxes to select my tables which I need to add. Down there are two options, first is load and second is transform data. For now, I'll be clicking on load data. Once I click on load, the data will be imported to Power BI. I can see that on my right hand side where the data panel is displayed, and all my tables are also shown with the fields which are included in that. So this was the report view where I can see my reports which I have been making. Let's go and see the table view. Table view is basically where I can see all the data which is included in my table. We also have the filter option in Power BI too, which if I want to see only the undergrads, I can select on undergrads and click on OK, and I will get the data filtered, and I will now have the data of undergrads only. I can again select all. Now suppose I want to remove this column of undergrad, so I need to go back to Home tab and click on transform data. Transform data is basically a tool of with the help of Power Query I can edit my data. Now you guys must be wondering why we need a Power Query editor when we can just go back to our Excel to edit our data. Well, sometimes we don't have the access to edit the data, so in this we can edit our data. Power Query I have different types of option from which I can edit my data. Suppose I don't need this education column, I can just click on remove columns and it will delete the column. There are various different options that can help me to transform my data. You can go back to Home tab and click on close and apply if you want to apply all the changes, but for now I don't want to change anything, so I can just close. So that was all about Power Query Editor. Now there is one more view option known as model view, which shows the relationship between my tables. Power BI automatically shows the relationship between my tables. In one table I had reception ID as the primary key, and Power BI detected the same reception ID is there in another table, so it made the relationship between all my tables. Now let's get back to report view and let's start making report. There are various different type of visualizations available in Power BI. A report is simply a collection of different visualizations. We have line chart, waterfall chart, slicer, and etc. For now, I want to make a report. So we have the data of a calling agency. So I want to make a report. I click on bar chart And after clicking on bar chart, I can even resize it. Clicking on bar chart, it simply showed me a bar chart, but I need to import data. I I'll check in my data panel which data set I want to select. I'll select on genders because I want to know the sum of duration as per gender. So I'll check on gender and it will automatically put it in y-axis. And for sum of duration, I have durations of calls. So I'll just select and drag it to the x-axis to get the duration. After doing so, you can see that Power BI automatically gave me the bar chart which indicates the sum of duration by gender. Another report of count of customer ID by day. So for now I will select the line chart. For the count of customer by day, first I will need the date of calls. So I'll select on date of calls and it will automatically get added to x-axis. Now I need the count of customers, the customer ID. I'll easily drag it to y-axis and you can see that Power BI automatically converted it in count. It's showing the line chart in on yearly basis. Now Power BI has another interesting feature which is known as drill down. When I click on drill down, you can see now I can change it into yearly, quarterly, monthly basis, but I want daily basis, so I click on daily and drag it so that it can be easily visible to all of you. Now Power BI is just not about making graphs. It has some more interesting feature like trend line. I can easily make a trend line which shows me the trend of calls made by day. Also I can have various type of lines. For now I am adding average line, which is in blue dotted line, which shows me the average call durations by day. There is also another interesting feature known as forecast. After resizing, you can also change the color, how it looks, and make your report more colorful. So I changed the color, that was the background color. You can even change the color of bars, the way it looks. One another interesting feature, or you can is known as slicer. In slicer, I will be adding the reception people name who made this call. Now if I click on one of these persons, I'll get to know how many calls they made and by daily basis and the sum of durations of them on particular basis. Well, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you.